What is up, everybody? We're back here at King Film Sports for the NFL Week 13 betting locks and game predictions here after we had a spectacular Week 12 of action, specifically the end of that morning window on Sunday with some of those finishes was absolutely insane there, and we had a very productive week in terms of the betting locks. Of course, we had two-unit bets here, and we hit them both, which moves us to 3-0 on two-unit locks, so definitely be sure to hit those in the future there. Don't have any this week, but we do have a great card in store. So let's get into some of the recaps of these games that we had betting locks in. Started out with that Thursday night game. We had the Browns plus 4.5 against the Steelers here. Line dropped to 3.5, but I still like the Browns even at that number because it was such a great spot for this team. The Steelers were riding too high, and this was just going to be such a tough environment. AFC North, in the cold, in the wind, in the snow here, and Jameis Winston was good enough in this game. The Steelers offense just couldn't do enough. I actually thought that Pittsburgh got a little bit unlucky in this game, but they did end up mounting a fourth quarter comeback, but then the Browns score a late touchdown to end up winning the game outright there. So big upset in Cleveland, and that one just classic AFC North football. Then Chiefs at the Panthers here. This one was a lot closer than a lot of people expect, and very key of us to get the critical number of 11 there because it was sitting on that number for a lot of the game. Then the Panthers down 8, score a touchdown and 2-point conversion late. And I have to admit, Bryce Young is playing a lot better now as this Panthers starting quarterback. Maybe he has earned himself some equity to start next year, as going into this game, if I thought the Panthers were covering 11.5, I probably thought it would be a lower scoring game. But no, this Panthers offense was pretty explosive, and they honestly could have had more if they were more productive in the red zone. But then the Chiefs end up scoring the field goal late. Of course, Mahomes puts them on his back to end the game and win the game for the Chiefs there, move them to 10-1 on the road. Then we got into our 2-unit bet here. We got great line movement. We took 1 unit, Bears plus 4.5, and then the second at plus 4, gave it out here on the channel. And this one for a lot of this game was looking very testy, especially late in the game. Vikings up 11, but then the Bears score the touchdown, 2-point conversion to cut it to 3 with 20 seconds left. Then they get the onside kick, hit a 50-yard field goal, go to overtime, and then only end up losing by 3 there. So a miraculous beat for us there. But if we're looking at the totality of the game here, yes, I know that the Vikings fumbled it on the 1-yard line early in the game, but I thought that the Bears actually were the unlucky team throughout most of this game here. They missed a couple key fourth down conversions. They got a field goal blocked, and ultimately, I think they were outgaining the Vikings for a lot of the game, not only from those garbage time scores as well. So I do think that the Bears have gotten pretty unlucky these last 2 weeks. Really the last 5 when you consider that Washington Commanders Hail Mary play at the end. So yes, brutal 5-game losing streak for this Bears team, but Caleb Williams has been playing a lot better, and I definitely think that this Vikings team is very fraudulent at that 9-2 record. I think they are due for some looming regression upcoming there. Then next we had this Colts plus 8 against the Lions here, and it was looking decent early in that game, but the Colts settle for 2 field goals where the Lions score 2 touchdowns early on, so it ends up being 14-6, and then Anthony Richardson was absolutely putrid in the second half, just could not sustain a drive for the life of them. Lions kind of ran out the clock there, just running all over this Colts defense, and end up winning 24-6 there, just a completely dominant win there, especially late in the game. This Colts offense, again with Anthony Richardson, is very inconsistent and just did not come out to play against a Detroit defense that I don't think is necessarily elite, but definitely a good performance from them there, and then the offense did what was required. Tough loss for us there. Then we got to this Raiders-Broncos game. This one was very interesting. Raiders coming off of a bye. I thought it was a great spot for them, and they were winning for a lot of this game, but then they kind of melt late. They're down 7. Gardner Minshew has a horrible fumble and actually gets injured, is out for the season, broken collarbone. But then Desmond Ridder, with this team down 10, has a chance. They get it to the 1-yard line and then takes a sack in the waning seconds. The game ends there. Just a brutal finish, and this Raiders team is just so incompetent. I cannot believe it, and Denver gets the win on the road in the division. And then we took this Niners plus 3. We ended up taking it at 6.5 in the Discord, but didn't matter at all. Thought Purdy would play at this point last week, but clearly he didn't. And then other big losses included Trent Williams. That was basically the reason that they couldn't run the ball at all, because a lot of that run scheme is to the left side, and without him, their offensive line is in shambles. And then you also saw no Nick Bosa on that defense. He's not responsible for the 20-plus missed tackles that they have on Josh Jacobs, but that didn't help as well. Just a horrible defensive effort from them there, and then Brandon Allen was not good in his own right. And really, Jordan Love on the Packers, I don't think he played very well in this game. He didn't have to do a whole lot. They were just running it down this Niners' throat. Definitely took revenge for that playoff loss last year in San Francisco, and the Packers get a big win there to go to 8-3. Then on Sunday night, we had the Rams plus 3 points here. Thought this one was going to be a bit of a shootout, come down to a late field goal, but it did not, as this Eagles team ran it all over the Rams. Saquon Barkley over 300 scrimmage yards. This Rams defense just could not hang. I know that a lot of these young pieces have been good so far this season, but clearly against an elite team, it just did not work out for them. And then that offense, specifically the offensive line, was getting harassed. Stafford was taking some big shots in this game and ultimately could not keep up with this Philadelphia team. And then we wrapped it up with the Monday night game. Was super confident in the Ravens coming off of a loss here to beat this Chargers team, even in LA. And -2.5 was not looking great early, down 10-0, but then they course corrected, went on a 30-6 run, and Derrick Henry had his way against this Chargers defense. Chargers defense the last 2 weeks now against the Bengals and the Ravens in primetime has not stepped up. That is not what you expect from a Jim Harbaugh-led team, and Lamar Jackson continues an impressive MVP campaign this season as he was absolutely spectacular in the second through fourth quarters of this game, including a couple key fourth down conversions throughout. So big 2-unit win there. And now that brings us to the Week 13 slate. And we started out here with the Bears plus 10.5 against the Lions. Now, it's a bit of a tough spot for this Bears team, being that they lost their last 2 divisional games in heartbreaking fashion at home, especially this last game that went 8 minutes deep into overtime, and they had to expend a lot of energy just to make it to overtime with that late surge. So it's a bit of an emotional letdown here potentially against this Lions team on a short week on Thursday afternoon. And this Lions team, conversely, got out pretty easily against Indianapolis, didn't have to expend a lot of energy in that fourth quarter. But with that being said, I do think that this Lions team is riding too high here for this spread. 10-1, yes, but I feel like a lot of the teams that they played have been pretty soft, and I think that this Bears team has competed well within these divisional games and will test the Lions here, especially getting some pressure on Jared Goff. I think if they're able to do that and stop the run game a bit, they can stifle this Lions offense. I think it's going to be a bit of a dogfight. And then you look at Caleb Williams' performance in these last 2 divisional games. I thought he was very good, and I think that the Packers and Vikings have better defenses than this Lions defense. I think that the Lions defense is very overrated here, so definitely think that the Bears will have a big shot in this game. I think it will be very close, maybe come down to the last play, and I just generally think that this Lions team is very overvalued, so we'll see there. Give me the 10.5 and the candy with Chicago there. Then we get to the Giants and the Cowboys, and give me the first half under 19.5 here. Can't take a side in this matchup as this Giants team is just so bad at this point with Tommy DeVito, and it appears to be a mutiny in the locker room. The team just hates their management and owner, which I understand. And then the Cowboys, coming off of a huge win, but favored by 4 points in this game. So I think it's going to be a very ugly, sloppy game between Cooper Rush and Tommy DeVito in this game, even in a controlled environment. I just think that this Giants defense against a surging Cowboys defense from last week will not be very good, especially early on in this game. So definitely see them in the single digits. And then the Cowboys on the other side, I don't think will have too much success, at least early on in this game. So I do see a bit of value at that number there. I think it's going to be just a general, very ugly game in Dallas there. And then we get to the nightcap. Give me the Miami Dolphins plus 3.5. And I know a lot of people are saying this is a hot weather team going to a cold environment. We know what happened in Kansas City last year. Temperature is going to be sub 20 degrees in this matchup. Yes, I get all of that, but I just think that this is too much value for this Miami team who are surging right now. 1-3 in a row. Tua is playing great football, and this offense is absolutely cooking. I know it's been against bad teams, but I don't think that this Packers defense is necessarily too great. So I do think that Miami will put up a few points there. And then secretly, their defense has been surging as of late as well. These last 3 games, we saw them against the Rams in primetime. Then they played great at home against the Raiders and the Patriots these last 2 weeks. So I do think that they will stifle this Packers team. I think that the Packers are riding a little too high at this point at that 8-3 record. So give me the Miami Dolphins to keep that close. I actually think that they win outright in that one. Then we get to the Black Friday game. Not a lot to say here. Gardner Minshew out, so obviously Desmond Ridder will start in this one. I think he's an absolutely atrocious quarterback in this league. And then Kansas City, 10-1 here. I don't know if they'll win with margin, but they will always win this game. So Kansas City going to get revenge for that Christmas Day game where they lost to this Raiders team last year. So I think that they win that one easily against Vegas there. Then we get to the Sunday slate here. Started out with the Chargers at the Falcons here. I think this one is just a pure coin flip. The situational spot for this Falcons team is very favorable, coming off of the bye here after they got blown up against Denver, and then you've got this Chargers team traveling cross-country on a short week here. Do think that the Chargers are probably the better team in the aggregate, but the situation lends itself to the Falcons playing very well in this game here, especially with the Chargers being a little bit banged up here, and I just think that Kirk Cousins will be able to move the ball against this pathetic Chargers defense, and Herbert is going to have to make a few plays in this one. I think that the Falcons may be able to stop that ground game, although they're not able to stop pressure. I just think that this Chargers team doesn't have the requisite weapons to hang in this game, so give me the Falcons narrowly there. Then we get to a betting lock. Steelers at the Bengals. Give me the Bengals minus 2.5. Gave this one out in the Discord on Sunday night, and it's already moved to 3. Don't love it necessarily at that number because a lot of these AFC North games are close, but I definitely think Bengals coming off the bye here. Season is on the line at 4-7, whereas the Steelers team, yes, I know they lost to Cleveland last week 8-3, but I think that exposed some of their flaws there. Their defense can be moved upon, and I think that the Bengals, Joe Burrow, will play spectacular in this game, put up 30-plus points, even though it is an AFC North divisional game. And Russell Wilson, I just think he's going to crumble, make a few mistakes in this game, and do not think that their running game will be able to pound it well enough against this Bengals team. So love the Bengals coming off of the bye there. Then next we get to an AFC South divisional battle, Texans at the Jaguars here. Do think that this one will be very competitive as this Houston team is just way worse than they even were last season. CJ Stroud is appearing to regress this season, not playing very well. And the Titans gave them so many opportunities last week. They didn't take any of them. And then conversely, this Jaguars team, I know they were horrible a couple weeks ago in Detroit, but Trevor Lawrence appears to be back coming off of the bye in this game, and definitely think they will present a big test for this Houston team. But ultimately, the Jaguars are just such a bad team at this point and so injured that I've got to take Houston to win that one, although should be very close in Jacksonville there. Then we get to the Cardinals at the Vikings here. I do think that both of these teams are overvalued. Give me the Vikings to win this game, though. I do think it'll be a bit of a shootout potentially, although both quarterbacks are prone to the turnovers in this game, so we will see how it ends up. I do think that I may end up on the Cardinals +4 there, as I think that this Vikings team, as I've said, 9-2 at this point and very easy strength of schedule. Playing a Cardinals team coming off of a bounce back here, tough loss in Seattle last week where Kyler wasn't great. Maybe the Cardinals improve and play a lot better in this game, but not giving it out at this point. I do think that Minnesota is the better team and a big home field advantage after they had the last 3 games on the road here. So a bit of a good homecoming spot for them here. Give me Minnesota there. Then we're taking the Colts -2.5. Similar to the Bengals one, it's now moved to 3. Gave it out in the Discord on Sunday night. I do still like it at 3. I just think that these two teams are in different spheres. I do think that the Colts are a legitimate team that is fighting for their playoff lives here to get that AFC 7 seed, and this Patriots team is just horrible. I mean, you saw it against the competent team, against the Dolphins last week. Drake May just could do nothing. He was getting harassed by that Dolphins defense. I think it'll be similar here. I just think that the Colts are a lot better team. I know it's in New England, but I do think that Richardson will get it right here. Hopefully he just doesn't give away the game like he did last week, but if he plays at least decent as he's looked at times this year against this pretty bad Patriots defense, I do think that the Colts win easily there. Then we get to the Seahawks at the Jets. Give me the Jets to win this one. I just think that this is a good spot for them coming off of the bye. They've been hearing all of this noise these last 2 weeks, but I do think that they get it right here against a Seahawks team traveling across the country that is high on life right now after 2 big divisional wins and now looking at first place in the NFC West. But I do think that they are a bit overrated here. You look at their talent on the roster, it's not significantly better than this Jets team, and I just love this spot for New York. So be careful betting on the Seahawks in this one. I think that is going to be a tough fight for them in New York. Then next, we're taking the Titans plus the 6 points in Washington here. Love what I saw from the Titans this last week in Houston with a big upset victory. But of course, we had to get the obligatory Will Levis crippling pick 6, but they even won in spite of that. So I do think that they are a team that is playing probably a little bit better than the market thinks right now. And then you've got this Washington team on the other side who is in absolute free fall. A very sloppy game against Dallas last week. And keep in mind, 3-game losing streak after losing to the Steelers at home and then getting crushed by Philadelphia on Thursday night. So I just think that this is a team that is struggling greatly right now. And we obviously know about the Cliff Kingsbury storylines always fading as the season progresses. Jaden Daniels does not look great. So I just think that this spread is a little bit inflated here. And I definitely think that the Titans could win outright, which would be pure disaster for this Washington team who was 1-7-2 there. But I just think that this is the state of the team right now. Even at home there, I do like Tennessee's chances. Then we get to an NFC South divisional battle between the Bucs and the Panthers. And the Panthers likewise surging at this point, giving them plus the 6.5 against this Buccaneers team. I do think that this Buccaneers defense can get got. And Bryce Young playing a lot better here at home. I think he's going to be very comfortable. I think that the Panthers score at least 20 points here. And then on the other side, you've got the Bucs, who I know they lit up that Giants team, but that Giants team had clearly quit in that game, and you're going against Tommy DeVito. So coming off of the bye there, that was a much different situation than on the road in the division here. So I do think that the Panthers keep it close there, could definitely win outright and spoil this Bucs playoff run. And then we've got the Rams at the Saints here. Give me the Rams to win this one. May end up taking their spread at 2.5, but it is a bit of a trappy spot because the Saints team is coming off of a bye there. But even though they're coming off the bye, I don't know how much it really helps them because they do have the interim head coach right now who can't be trusted probably in the long term. And I just do not think that what they've done the last 2 games before that is all that sustainable. Wins against the Falcons and Browns, and just generally think that this Rams team is more talented here. Yes, they did get exposed on Sunday night, but this is a completely different caliber of team that they're facing in New Orleans here than Philadelphia last week. So I do think that the Rams win this game. Probably Stafford leads them on a drive late for a late field goal, but I do think that the Rams win narrowly in that one. Then we got the Battle of the Birds here. A great game between the Eagles and the Ravens. I will take the Ravens to win this one, even though it is a bit of a tough spot. Traveling back from cross country on this short week here, even though the Eagles did play in SoFi themselves on Sunday night. but not too far of a travel here for Philadelphia, but I do think it'll be a raucous environment in Baltimore here, and I just generally think that this Eagles team is slightly worse than the Ravens, although they do have all-around more talent. I think that this Ravens offense is just a little bit better, and I trust Lamar more than I trust Jalen Hurts in that Philadelphia offense, so I think it'll be a ground and pound type of game. I think it could potentially be higher scoring, definitely in that fourth quarter. We could see whoever has the ball last wins this game, but at home here, I do like this Baltimore team to build off that win in LA and get the dub there in Baltimore. And then that brings us to the Sunday night game. Give us the Niners plus the 7 here against Buffalo, and this just hinges on their offense being a lot better than they were last week. Kyle Shanahan has been hearing the noise, and Brock Purdy is looking good to start in this game, which obviously changes the complexion of their offensive performance in this one. And then Trent Williams is also looking good to return. So at least on their offense here, maybe Christian McCaffrey improves a bit and they use more Jordan Mason there. So I think that their offense will be very good in this game, even against a Buffalo defense coming off of the bye there. I think that it could be a bit of a slow start for them and their offense there. The Niners defense got absolutely embarrassed in Green Bay last week. I think that they will at least start out the game playing a lot better here, even against this talented Bills offense here, as the Bills running game, maybe they're able to stop early on and Josh Allen makes some plays later on, but we are getting the full 7 points in this game. So I do think that it's just a great spot here for this Niners team to bounce back against this Bills team, even coming off of the bye there in primetime. Season on the line here at 5-6. They need this one, so I think that they will at least make it close, if not win outright there. I definitely think that that is a big possibility. And then finally, that brings us to our Monday night game. We got the Browns at the Broncos here. For Cleveland, another chance to spoil a team's potential run to the playoffs here, but I do think that the Broncos are the more consistent team, so I will take them to win this game on primetime. And this one, wouldn't be shocked if Jameis had another great performance here, even though he didn't even play stellar against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I do think that he could make some plays against this Broncos team, but ultimately, Bo Nix against this Cleveland defense, I do think that he will do enough here to win this game for the Broncos. So with all that being said, let me know what you guys think of my picks in the comments down below. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.